So hey, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to do a review. On the Fab It Quick episode 4, I talked about a new camera that I got, and I've had a chance to use it and play with it and figure out some of the quirks and nuances of it, and I thought it'd be a good idea to do a review to kind of pass along what I learned during the purchase of it and also the use of it. So if you're looking for a new camera, you at least don't have to spend the hours that I did trying to figure out what camera to get. So let me show you what camera I got, and I'll walk through all the pros and cons that I have and the reason why I got it. Also, you'll have to excuse me. I am shooting on the old camera, because I can't shoot and review at the same time. So this is what I ended up getting. It's an Ordro 4K camera, and I ended up going with a camera like this instead of like a GoPro or something similar. It was a couple reasons. So one was budget. I didn't have money to dump into a Hero 7 or a DSLR. So I had to kind of figure out what was the best for me. I wanted to shoot higher resolution. I wanted to be able to shoot some slow-mos and some of those things. So I didn't want to go with the GoPro, mostly because of they're a little bit more of the action cam, which is nice, but I'm always shooting in a very dimly lit shop, so I don't have I need a larger aperture. I need something that will bring in more light. I did buy some lighting, as you can tell. This is very bright and different from what I'm used to. But there's times where I just don't have I need a bigger lens to bring in more light. And I had problems with my old camera, which I'm on now, where I just didn't have enough light, and there are shots that I just couldn't use, or it was very grainy. So that was a big one. And I know with a lot of the action cameras, the aperture's fixed. You can't, I mean, they're all fixed, but aside from going to a full frame camera or a mirrorless camera, that would help, and that would be my ultimate goal, but I just didn't have it in the budget. So I went around and I looked for that. I looked for something that I could do that. So what drew me in was the interchangeable lenses, and it comes with a macro lens and a wide angle lens, which I'll talk about later. So that was a big selling point for me. Also the hot shoe, which is where this microphone mounts, that gives places for accessories like the microphone. I also ended up buying a lavalier microphone, which I forgot, but that also lets you mount that there, which is nice. This holding bracket was kind of a selling point to do, panning shots and whatnot. So that was kind of nice. That didn't really push me over the edge on that, but it was kind of a neat little thing. There's a lot of cameras that come with those. So this is a consumer grade professional camera, meaning it's not really professional grade, but it has some of those features, but it's more consumer grade. It's a cheap camera. I don't care. Manufacturers would probably see this and go, "Oh, how dare you?" But it is. It's not a Canon. It's not a JVC. It's not a Sony. It's not a Panasonic. It's not one of those high-end professional cameras, but you get what you pay for. I would think in the high-end camera range, a comparable camera to this, and not high-end, I'm sorry, about same comparison, but on the name brand, would be a Canon Vixia HF R800. It's very similar. It doesn't shoot as high a resolution, but it does have interchangeable lenses. It has a lot of things on there. And I'll get into the whole resolution thing on this too. So this is one of many different manufacturers. If you've ever gone through, where I'm from, the cheap manufactured things, this is the same body, but there's many other manufacturers that make this body. and they all have their own name on it. There's Ordro is one, Kit Tech is one, Niseni's one, there's another one that's out there, and they all have their own accessories that come with it. One of them is for night vision. It has a huge infrared light on the bottom. There's all different styles and things to suit your needs. So, but they're really the same camera. There are a few different models to this for this one. I ended up going with the model for Ordro that has the optical zoom, because I am doing machining and I want to be able to zoom in away from where I am. So I did end up going with that. And I am glad that I did that. It didn't seem like a lot of optical zoom. I don't like the digital zoom. I think it makes them grainy, but with the lenses and whatnot, that I'm glad I did that. It did cost a little bit more, but it gives a really nice shot, maybe 10, 12 feet away. So this is pretty much what comes in the package. Comes with a case, cabling to do everything, HDMI cables to, that actually didn't come with it. No, that one didn't. This one did. Cables hook up to a TV, all those things. It also came with an SD card reader for the computer, which I left home. Came with this. I have no idea what that even is. Some lens covers, some glare covers, little things, lens wipes, whatnot, and then of course the microphone, camera, and this mount. So some of the things. So this is what comes with: user manuals and a remote. I love that too. It may be something small, but that was also important when you're standing somewhere and you need to turn it off, turn it on without touching it. I like that. So some of the pros that I found after using it a few times, I did some test filming with different resolutions and whatnot, and I might post that depending on if I can get it edited down. It was so I could see what was the best for me, because there's some different options in here. So some of the pros that I came into was, one was the carry handle. It's nice. It is stout. It's heavy duty. It's not really that bad. It comes really loose, so it collapses easily. So I tightened that up. The ergonomics of it are really nice. It's really what you'd expect with a camcorder. You know, all the buttons are there. Everything's there. The lenses, they're definitely a pro on here. It comes with. So I said it comes with two lenses. It comes with a macro lens and a wide angle lens. And the wide angle lens has to be used with the macro lens. That's how it gets the focal length. And it does really nice. It gives a nice wide angle and good picture. And then it also comes with this glare lens, glare shield. So now I'll get into the cons, but I love the thread on lenses. It's so fine, and plastic, I'm not even gonna try that. And plastic always cross threads, but that's a pro. The lenses are really nice. I love having the macro lens. It works really good. The macro lens is really cool, but for me, it gets very close to, you have to stay a few inches away. So it's a little dangerous for the camera when you're machining, but it is kind of neat. The hot shoe, that is definitely a pro. This is a standard hot shoe, so you can use a lot of different accessories. They don't have to be per the manufacturer. So that's really nice. The zoom on this works very great. It smooth zoom. It's nice having it. Of course, they have another model that's very similar to this that doesn't have the zoom. It only has like 3 times zoom. This is 12. So I imagine it's comparable. The remote is a pro. Being able to start, stop, record, take pictures, zoom in, zoom out is nice. The glare covers are nice. all that kind of stuff. So those are the things I really like about it, other than it just being, it is a good camera. The resolution is nice. With the resolution, it does have, it shoots 24 frames a second on 4K and 30 frames a second on what they call QHD, which should be like 2K. It also has an option for 60 frames per second on a slightly lower resolution of 2K. That was one that I was testing. It's actually a pretty nice resolution for at least what I'm doing. So that was a good one. I liked being able to adjust that resolution and time. I mean, I'm not doing action other than chips flying off of something, but that was nice. Some of the cons for this, they're not deal breakers. They're more quirks of the camera. So first, when you come into this, to turn it on, and maybe there's a setting in here I haven't found, but to turn it on, you just open the thing, and it turns on. Now you think, okay, there's a power button here, so I can't turn it off. But if I close this, it turns off. Now, it's not a big deal. To me, it's kind of a quirk, because there's sometimes where you don't, if you're panning around and stuff, it is nice to see that. But there are times where I like to have that in. I even did that on the camera I'm filming on now, where I like to have that in and out of the way for whatever reason. So it's kind of weird that it actually shuts it off. So it's just a quirk that it turns it off. Another thing, when you turn the lens over, it does this weird. It turns off when it flips over. Just the screen turns off. Just more of a strange nuance of it. Another thing that's kind of, this is where I was really struggling with this is why I did a test on different different resolutions and speeds and focal lengths. The autofocus on here, there's no manual focus, it's only autofocus. There's 3 settings for metering. There's multi-focus, center focus, and spot focus. I have not figured out if you can adjust spot focus, pick on a certain point yet. That would be nice, but on multi-focus, it really struggles with if there's anything in the background. I was shooting a shot, if you watch my Fab It Quick episode 4, it really kind of makes your eyes go crazy. It likes to zoom in and out, and very annoying. And I didn't know about that when I was shooting, and now I couldn't see it on the little screen. But now that I know that, I'm able to fix that, changing it from multi-focus to spot or center, and that solves that. Another one is on here, you can use up to 128 gig SD card. On this unit, you actually have to loosen this and either slide it here to get the SD card out or take it off completely. And it's really kind of a pain to get the SD card out, and you cannot connect this to a computer and just use it like like a card reader. You have to take it out. So it's really kind of hard to pull the SD card out. So that's a con. It's kind of just a pain in the butt to do that. Another is same thing on the battery case. It flips down, so you have to move it out of the way to hit the button to pull the battery out. It's kind of someone needed to think a little harder on that. They could have just made it where you'd hit a button and it popped out. There's plenty of room for there, but nobody did that. Speaking of the battery life for this battery sucks. I mean, it's okay. I was shooting for about 2 hours, no sound, just pure camera, and it died on me. So 2 hours. I don't know what they didn't really say what the life was. It does come with a spare battery. I forgot that. I left it in the office, but it does come with a spare battery, so that is nice. That kind of redeems that. So you can swap out. So again, on the resolution side, this isn't actually a true 4K camera, and someone let the cat out of the bag on an Amazon question. It's actually more like a 3.5K. It uses some kind of strange compression to get it to be able to do it, and then I guess it's just it just can't do an actual 4K. And it's actually slow frames per second, 24 frames per second. I think it'd be fine if you're out in daylight, or you are doing just family, whatever, normal camcorder things would be great. Any kind of action or fast moving, it's a little grainy. It seems to have, it's not the quality I would expect for 4K. And the QHD, their 2K and their FHD are actually really nice. They look great. So that's kind of a con, that it's truly a con. It's not really, it says 4K, but it's really not truly a 4K camera. The instructions that come with this are missing a lot of information. For example, on the lenses, the instructions for the lenses are terrible. So there's a few things you can do. One is you take this off and you have macro. That's your macro lens. Put that on. Done. You cannot. There's no glare shield for the macro. There is a dust cover for that. I don't think you can use. Yeah. Oh, can you? No. So if you have them apart, you've got to have them together to use the dust covers. So it can't be by itself, and you can't use this because that's how it works with the two. They don't really give very good instruction how these go together. Now, it took me a while to figure out that this doesn't go on anything. It actually it's a glare cover for here. If you're not shooting with any lens, that just goes directly on here, which is fine. This is for the wide angle lens. One downside that I ran into with this was, and it's the same with this one, you cannot use your lens covers with those. So same with this one, they only work directly onto the lens themselves. So kind of dumb that you have to take that off. Like I said, I hate screwing and unscrewing these plastic parts. I mean, I have a really nice Canon camera, and it's kind of the same thing. It's touchy. You can cross those threads very easily. So, although these are metal, and they go together a lot nicer. So there's that. That was one of the cons. And then the instruction, they don't tell you. It took me a while to figure out how that went, and then that you actually had to use these together, because it was kind of strange that this one says macro, this one says wide. They just don't say, oh, you got to use both together. I actually got that off of the picture online. So hey, thanks for joining me for this little review video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, please check it out. I got a cool go-kart build we're working on. Now I'm going to be shooting in some little better resolution, better video. I got lights to give a little better production value and new sound. So check those out, these links. And then, yeah, I'll see you on the next go-around.